The champagne glass slipped from Olivia Reed's fingers, shattering against the polished marble floor of Blackwood Gallery. She barely registered the sound, her attention fixed on the limestone sculpture prominently displayed in the center of the room, her sculpture, now bearing another artist's name. 3 years of exile from the art world had done nothing to dull the pain of seeing her work claimed by others. Vincent Blackwood, with his impeccable suits and predatory smile, had systematically stripped her of everything: her reputation, her career, and now he was profiting from her creations while she served drinks to the same elite who unknowingly admired her stolen art. "Careful there," a voice murmured beside her. "Glass is dangerous in more ways than one." Olivia turned to find a man watching her with unusual intensity. He wasn't dressed like the other patrons. His charcoal suit was functional rather than fashionable, and the slight bulge beneath his jacket suggested he might be carrying a weapon. Security, perhaps, though something in his slate-gray eyes spoke of personal interest rather than professional duty. "I'm fine," she replied, wrapping a cocktail napkin around her hand where a shard had nicked her palm. "You don't look fine." His accent was Eastern European, his voice low and graveled. "You look like someone who's watching their heart being auctioned off piece by piece." The accuracy of his observation startled her. "And you look like someone who doesn't belong at an art exhibition." His smile was fleeting but genuine. "Nikolai Petrov, I'm working security tonight." "Olivia Reed, I'm working resentment." His laugh was unexpected, a rich sound that drew curious glances from nearby patrons. Before he could respond, Vincent materialized beside them, his calculating eyes assessing Nikolai before settling on Olivia, with manufactured concern. "Ms. Reed, I do hope you're enjoying the exhibition, though perhaps you should switch to water for the remainder of the evening." His voice dripped with condescension barely masked as concern. Olivia straightened, acutely, aware of both Vincent's dismissive gaze and Nikolai's watchful presence. "Actually, I was just admiring the centerpiece. The technique seems familiar." Vincent's smile tightened. "Javier is quite talented. A remarkable new discovery." "Remarkable indeed, considering Javier doesn't exist." The words escaped before she could stop them. A dangerous silence fell between them. Nikolai shifted subtly, positioning himself between Olivia and Vincent in a movement so natural it appeared coincidental. "Ms. Reed," Vincent said quietly, "bitterness doesn't become you. Perhaps it's time you found another gallery to haunt." "Perhaps. It's time you stopped stealing other artists' work," she countered, emboldened by Nikolai's presence. Vincent's eyes went cold. "Security!" he called, though not to Nikolai. "Please escort Ms. Reed out. She's had too much to drink." As 2 uniformed guards approached, Nikolai smoothly intercepted them. "I've got this," he assured them with professional authority. "No scene necessary." He gently guided Olivia toward the exit, his hand steady at her elbow. "Walk now, talk later," he murmured. "Trust me." Outside in the cool evening air, Olivia pulled away from his grasp. "I don't need an escort." "No," Nikolai agreed, studying her with those perceptive eyes. "What you need is an ally. And if you're interested in taking down Vincent Blackwood, I might be exactly what you're looking for." Olivia hesitated, suspicion warring with curiosity. "Why would you help me?" "Because Vincent Blackwood took something from me, too." His expression darkened. "Something far more precious than art." The coffee shop stood in stark contrast to Blackwood Gallery's polished opulence. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as Olivia studied Nikolai across a chipped Formica table. His hands, scarred and calloused, wrapped around a mug of black coffee that had gone cold an hour ago. "My cousin Sophia," Nikolai said, sliding a photograph across the table. 22 years old, talented photographer. Vincent recruited her for a private exhibition in Monaco 3 months ago. She hasn't been seen since." Olivia examined the photo, a young woman with Nikolai's gray eyes and a camera hanging around her neck. Her smile held the kind of optimism Olivia had lost years ago. You think Vincent did something to her? I know he did. Nikolai's voice hardened. Vincent Blackwood's galleries are fronts for something much darker. Art theft is just the beginning. Olivia felt a chill run through her. What exactly are you suggesting? Human trafficking. High-end. He identifies vulnerable artists, builds their trust, then offers them exclusive opportunities abroad. Nikolai leaned forward. But I can't get close enough to prove it. He knows who I am, what I can do. And what exactly can you do, Nikolai? Olivia asked, suddenly aware of how little she knew about this man. His smile was humorless. Let's just say I have a particular set of skills from my previous career that make men like Vincent nervous. Military? Something like that. He dismissed the question with a wave. The point is, I need someone Vincent thinks he can control. Someone with a legitimate reason to reconnect with him. Understanding dawned on Olivia. Me? You want me to get close to the man who destroyed my career? Yes. No apology, no sugarcoating. Vincent thinks you're desperate, broken. He'll believe you'd come crawling back for even the smallest opportunity. Anger flared in Olivia's chest. So I'm just a tool for your revenge? This isn't about revenge. Nikolai's intensity was unsettling. This is about saving Sophia and whoever else he's taken, and giving you back what he stole. How? We gather evidence of his forgeries, his trafficking operation, enough to destroy him completely. Nikolai pulled out a small device. You wear this. I hear everything. Track your location. You find where he keeps his records, where he might be holding the girls. Olivia stared at the listening device, doubt clouding her thoughts. And if something goes wrong? If he suspects? I'll be nearby, always. The certainty in his voice should have been comforting, but it raised more questions than answers. Why should I trust you? For all I know, you could be using me for something worse than whatever Vincent's doing. Nikolai was quiet for a long moment. You shouldn't trust me, he finally said. Trust is a luxury we can't afford. But you should believe me when I say Sophia is all I have left in this world, and I will burn everything to the ground to find her. The conviction in his voice resonated with something broken inside Olivia. The part that had spent 3 years nursing rage instead of creating art. I have conditions, she said finally. I want evidence of every stolen piece. Documentation that proves my work is mine, done. And I want to know who you really are. No more something like that answers. Nikolai hesitated, then nodded once. When this is over, you'll know everything. Outside, rain began to fall, drumming against the coffee shop windows like a warning. Olivia thought of Sophia's photograph, of her own sculptures bearing another's name, of Vincent's smug smile as he built his empire on stolen dreams. We start tomorrow, she said, her decision made. I'll need something convincing to get back in Vincent's good graces. Nikolai reached into his jacket and pulled out a small sketchbook. Start with this. Preliminary designs for sculptures he hasn't seen yet. Something to tempt him. Olivia took the sketchbook, surprised. You seem very prepared for someone who just met me yesterday. His eyes met hers, and for the first time, she saw vulnerability beneath the steel. I've been watching Vincent for months. When I saw how he looked at you last night, I knew you were the key. The admission should have frightened her. Instead, it filled her with a strange sense of purpose. Someone had finally seen her pain and recognized its power. Tomorrow. Then, she agreed, knowing she was stepping off a precipice into darkness. But after 3 years of invisibility, even a dangerous fall felt like flying. Part 3. The infiltration. Vincent's private office smelled of sandalwood and privilege. Olivia perched on the edge of an Italian leather chair, her portfolio balanced. On her knees, the listening device concealed in her watch feeling suddenly heavier. "I must admit, Olivia, your call surprised me." Vincent leaned against his desk, studying her with the calculated interest of a collector assessing a new acquisition. "3 years of silence, and suddenly you're eager to collaborate?" She forced vulnerability into her voice. "Desperation changes people. I haven't sold anything significant since we parted ways." "Parted ways?" Vincent repeated with amusement. "Such a diplomatic term for what happened between us." Olivia swallowed her retort and opened her portfolio. "These are new concepts, more commercial than my previous work, but still with my signature style." Vincent flipped through the sketches, his expression revealing nothing. Through her earpiece, Olivia could hear Nikolai's steady breathing from wherever he was monitoring. "Interesting," Vincent murmured. "But I'm curious why you'd bring these to me, after everything." The script she and Nikolai had rehearsed felt hollow now, facing Vincent's skepticism. Instead, she opted for a different kind of truth. "Because you're the devil I know," she said quietly. "And sometimes that's safer than the unknown." Something shifted in Vincent's eyes. Recognition, perhaps, of the authentic fear beneath her performance. He closed the portfolio and returned it to her. "Come with me. I want to show you something." Olivia followed him through a doorway she'd never been allowed to enter before, down a corridor lined with security cameras. They descended a staircase to a lower level where the air felt different. Colder, more sterile. "My private collection," Vincent explained, using a key card to unlock a reinforced door. "For special clients only." The room beyond was a climate-controlled vault lined with paintings and sculptures. Some Olivia recognized from exhibitions, others she'd never seen before. In the center stood one of her early pieces, a marble figure of a woman emerging from stone, her face contorted in an expression between ecstasy and agony. "You kept it," she whispered, unable to hide her surprise. Of course. Vincent's smile didn't reach his eyes. "Your early work had a rawness that was quite marketable to certain collectors." As he guided her through the vault, Olivia noted security cameras, alarm systems, and another door at the far end, this one with both keycard and numeric access. Through her earpiece, she heard Nikolai's whispered instruction. "Get the code." "What's through there?" she asked, gesturing toward the door. Vincent's expression cooled. "Storage. Nothing interesting." He was lying. Olivia could see it in the tightening of his jaw, the way his hand instinctively moved to block her view. "I should introduce you to Javier sometime," she said casually, referencing the fictional artist credited with her work. "I'd love to see his process." Vincent's laugh was sharp. "Javier is quite reclusive, but perhaps we could arrange something if our new arrangement proves fruitful." As they returned upstairs, Vincent outlined his proposal. He would exhibit her new work under a pseudonym with a modest percentage of sales going to Olivia. Enough to survive, not enough to thrive. "I'll need time to consider your offer," she said, playing reluctant. "Of course." Vincent walked her to the door. "Though I should mention, my Monaco exhibition is in 2 weeks. If you're interested in being part of it, I'll need your decision by Friday." Monaco, where Sophia had disappeared. Olivia felt her heart race but kept her expression neutral. "I'll let you know." Outside, in a cafe across the street, Nikolai was waiting, his eyes never leaving the gallery entrance. "He's planning another Monaco exhibition," Olivia said without preamble. "And there's a secured room in the basement, something he doesn't want me to see." Nikolai's expression darkened. "That's where they'll be. The merchandise for Monaco." "You don't know that for certain." "I do." His certainty was chilling. "Because I've seen this pattern before. We need to get into that room before the exhibition. Before they're moved." Olivia shivered despite the warm day. I saw the security. It's not just a matter of picking a lock. No, Nikolai agreed, his eyes fixed on hers. It's a matter of making Vincent believe you're willing to do anything to be part of his world again, even if it means becoming his accomplice. The implication hung between them. To save Sophia and the others, Olivia would need to cross lines she'd promised herself she never would. I can't pretend to be okay with human trafficking, Nikolai. You don't have to be okay with it, he replied, his voice gentle despite the hardness in his eyes. You just have to make him believe you're too desperate to question it. A week of careful manipulation had earned Olivia enough of Vincent's trust to gain after-hours access to the gallery. With the Monaco exhibition approaching, she'd convinced him she needed time alone with the space to envision how her new sculptures would be displayed. The alarm system disarms with this code, Vincent had explained, showing her the sequence. But the basement vault remains secured. I trust that won't be a problem. It wouldn't be, because Nikolai had spent the past 3 nights studying the, building's security system, identifying its vulnerabilities. Now, as the gallery's lights dimmed automatically at midnight, Olivia moved quietly through the exhibition hall, Nikolai's voice guiding her through her earpiece. Security cameras on a 20-second rotation. You have a blind spot near the stairwell. She slipped through the door to the basement, heart hammering against her ribs. The vault door required Vincent's keycard, but Nikolai had prepared for this. Olivia attached a small device to the electronic lock, something he'd assured her would bypass the system temporarily. If this works, we'll have 3 minutes before the security system registers the anomaly, he warned. The device blinked green. The door unlocked with a soft click. Olivia moved quickly through the private collection to the second door, the one Vincent had been so careful to hide. The numeric keypad glowed faintly in the dim light. Try 061182, Nikolai instructed. His sister's birthday. Men like Vincent use personal dates they think no one knows. The lock disengaged. Olivia pushed the door open to reveal not a storage room, but a small office. Filing cabinets lined one wall, and a computer hummed on a desk cluttered with documents. I'm in, she whispered, scanning the room. But there's no one here, no Sophia. Look for shipping manifests, client lists, anything related to Monaco. Olivia rifled through the papers on the desk, photographing documents with her phone. Shipping orders for specialty art pieces to Monaco, invoices with coded descriptions, a ledger with names and figures that made no sense until she realized they were people, not paintings, being cataloged and priced. Nikolai, she breathed. This is worse than we thought. There are dozens of names here. Do you see Sophia? Or any mention of where they're being held? No, but... She froze as a file labeled Special Accommodations caught her eye. Inside were photographs of a warehouse, security details, and a schedule for merchandise preparation dated 3 days before the Monaco exhibition. I think I found where they're keeping them. A warehouse at the edge of the industrial district. As she photographed the documents, a drawer in the desk caught her attention, locked unlike the others. Using a technique Nikolai had taught her, she managed to force it open. Inside was a dossier labeled Nikolai Petrov, Interpol. Olivia's blood ran cold. She opened the file to find surveillance photos of Nikolai, reports of his movements, and a detailed background that contradicted everything he'd told her. Not a cousin searching for Sophia, but an undercover agent who'd been tracking Vincent's operation for years. Olivia? Nikolai's voice crackled through the earpiece. The security system's showing anomalies. You need to get out now. She stuffed the dossier into her bag and retraced her steps, barely making it out of the building before the alarm system reset. Nikolai was waiting in a car across the street, expression tense, until he saw her emerge. Did you find anything? He asked as she slid into the passenger seat. Wordlessly, she handed him the dossier. His face went blank as he recognized it. "You lied to me," she said quietly. "There is no cousin. You're Interpol." Nikolai closed the file, his knuckles white against the dark cover. "Not anymore. I was discharged 6 months ago when the operation was deemed too resource-intensive, but by then it was personal. So Sophia is real. My informant, not my cousin. She went undercover as an artist and disappeared." His eyes met hers, defiant and vulnerable at once. "Everything else I told you was true. Vincent is trafficking people, and Sophia was taken. I just simplified my connection to the case." Olivia wanted to be angry, but the evidence she'd found left no room for personal grievances. "The warehouse. We need to check it tonight." Relief flooded his face at her focus on the mission rather than his deception. "We should wait for backup." "What backup? You're not Interpol anymore, remember? And those merchandise preparation dates are for tomorrow. We don't have time to wait." Nikolai studied her with new respect. "You're right. But this isn't what you signed up for, Olivia. These people are dangerous, armed, ruthless." "So am I," she replied, thinking of the 3 years Vincent had stolen from her. "And unlike you, I haven't been lying about my motivations." A ghost of a smile touched his lips. "Fair enough. But we do this my way. Surveillance only tonight. No heroics." As they drove toward the warehouse district, Olivia wondered which was more dangerous, the criminals they were pursuing, or the man beside her whose lies were woven so seamlessly with truths she couldn't tell where one ended and the other began. Part 5. The Final Confrontation. Dawn broke over the warehouse district, painting the industrial landscape in shades of gold and shadow. Olivia and Nikolai had spent the night documenting the warehouse's security patterns, watching guards change shifts, noting the delivery trucks that arrived empty and departed with unusual care. "There are at least 6 armed guards," Nikolai observed, lowering his binoculars. "And we still don't know how many people are inside." Their surveillance had confirmed their worst fears. Vincent's operation was sophisticated and well protected, but it had also revealed an opportunity, a scheduled delivery to prepare for the Monaco exhibition. "I'm going in with the morning shift," Olivia decided, adjusting the gallery uniform she'd taken from Vincent's office. Nikolai gripped her arm. "Absolutely not. We've gathered enough evidence to contact my former colleagues. Let the authorities handle this. By the time they mobilize, those people will be shipped overseas." Olivia pulled away from his grasp. "I can get inside, find Sophia and the others, create a distraction while you call for backup." "It's too dangerous. More dangerous than letting Vincent continue?" She held his gaze. "You used me to get this far, Nikolai. Now trust me to finish it." Something shifted in his expression. Resignation, perhaps, or recognition that she was right. 2 hours, he conceded. "If you're not out in 2 hours, I'm coming in after you, authorities or not." The morning delivery proceeded as they'd observed. Trucks arriving, gallery assistants hurrying with clipboards, guards checking identifications with practiced efficiency. Olivia joined the flow, her stolen uniform and confident stride enough to get her through the initial checkpoint. Inside, the warehouse was divided into sections. The front area housed legitimate art being prepared for transport, paintings carefully crated, sculptures swathed in protective wrapping. But behind a secured door, Olivia found what they'd been searching for. A dozen young women and men, most barely in their 20s, occupied small rooms that resembled hotel accommodations more than cells, a calculated deception to maintain the illusion that they were preparing for legitimate modeling work. Some looked confused, others frightened, all unaware of their true destination. Sophia was in the furthest room, her photographer's eye immediately recognizing that Olivia didn't belong. "Who sent you?" she whispered when Olivia entered. "Nikolai Petrov." Relief flooded Sophia's face. "He's alive?" Vincent said he'd been eliminated, very much alive and waiting outside. Olivia checked her watch. 90 minutes remaining. We're getting everyone out, but I need your help. Together, they moved through the quarters, quietly explaining the situation to the others. Most were willing to risk escape. A few, too frightened of the armed guards, opted to wait for authorities. As they prepared to move, the warehouse door swung open. Vincent stood in the entrance, flanked by security. "Olivia," he said, his voice carrying a note of genuine disappointment. "I had such hopes for our renewed partnership." She stepped forward, placing herself between Vincent and the others. "It's over, Vincent. Authorities are on their way." His laugh was cold. "By which time we'll be gone, and you'll be joining our Monaco collection. I have several clients who appreciate spirited acquisitions." "I've documented everything," Olivia countered. "The forgeries, the trafficking, the offshore accounts. It's already been sent to multiple sources." Uncertainty flickered across Vincent's face, quickly masked by contempt. A desperate bluff from a desperate woman. "Actually," Nikolai's voice came from behind Vincent, "she's telling the truth." Vincent whirled to find Nikolai holding one of the guards at gunpoint, the man's radio in his free hand. "You," Vincent spat. "I should have known you wouldn't stay dead." "You should have known a lot of things," Nikolai replied evenly. "Like how transmitting your security footage to an outside server creates a perfect record of your operation. Or how your private files made excellent evidence when delivered to Interpol this morning." Sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder by the second. Vincent lunged for his own weapon, but Olivia was faster. She brought a fire extinguisher down on his arm with a sickening crack. He crumpled, clutching his injured limb, hatred blazing in his eyes. "You were nothing when I found you," he hissed. "I made you." Olivia looked at him with pity rather than rage. "No, Vincent. You tried to unmake me. There's a difference."